Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of drones in survival uses for preppers. But before we do that, if you're interested in detective stories, this is the first part of an 11-part series that I wrote. It's called Bloody Crosses, it's in Dutch, and if you're interested, it will be down in the description. So, drones, yeah. We all seen the footages from Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, where drones are now used almost on a larger scale, all on a wide front. So, what are they used for observation, bringing in food, medicine, and an ammo to forward posts, and of course, dropping smaller bombs on specific targets. So yeah, those are the things we think about when we think about drones, tactical uses. But uh, there are also drawbacks which I'm going to talk about. And yeah, I'm not really a tech guy, so I'm not an expert on in the field of drones or anything that is electrical. But I have bought a drone for this purpose to test it out in the field. And yeah, it's not the cheapest, but it's also not the more expensive one. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my about the things that I found out while using these drones in simulations in my neighborhood. So these are my takes on drones. Drones are great. The best thing you can do with the drone, in my opinion, is observation. It's for in a bug-in scenario, I would suggest to use it for observation in case there are perhaps marauders. Perhaps when there is a fire, in case there is a fire on your home, and you need to inspect where the fire exactly is so that you do not climb on the wrong part of the roof, or you do not you cannot calculate the situation that good, because yeah, perhaps there is a certain part of the woodwork that is burning, and that way you cannot get on that part of the roof to extinguish the fire. So those are things that you can use it for fire prevention, and also for fire fighting. Observation for when there are intruders. So imagine um, you got an alarm system or whatever, and you know there is an intruder on that part of my area of my property, and I can just from the safety of the house scan with the drone around, and yeah, and to calculate how many people are there, what kind of arms do they have, uh, and are they really a threat, or are they just trespassers, or are they just people who walked on the wrong part because they're lost. Those are things that you can calculate before you engage with a certain action and take a certain action. So yeah, those are also a good thing that you can do. Another thing is, in case, an example is during a flood area, perhaps your neighbor is stuck on the roof or something, but you cannot you cannot get supplies to your neighbor because of all the water current there is between your house and the neighbor's house. But if your drone is strong enough, you can put some sandwiches or some water or something else that they need to survive, if your drone is strong enough, towards the roof, and you can give supplies that way. And the same thing goes from when you're in a defensive perimeter from a base, from a base of command. You can send ammo, medicine, water towards the certain defensive post of your perimeter without exposing yourself, or sending people in who can be ambushed in a certain defensive area, or a more worst case, you can be targeted with friendly fire because that defensive post thought the person who was bringing food or water that they were an intruder or something. So those are also things that could happen that you need to take in account with. Yeah, and for the other things, those are most things you can use it for in a bug-in scenario. During a bug-out scenario, it has also his uses. Um, Especially when you're with a group, it could be handy. Imagine if you're on a bug-out scenario and you see a bridge, but the bridge is you cannot trust to hold it. Perhaps you do not trust it to hold it. Perhaps it's rigged with explosives. Perhaps it's been damaged by an earthquake or some other sabotage means or something, and you need to check out the bridge, the strong points of the bridge, with the drone before you dare to cross it with your group or with your vehicles. So those are things that you can do. If you need to find the passage, you can send the drone up in the air, look in a wide area, look, oh, there are people over there, we must avoid them. Oh, there is a roadblock over there, an official roadblock like with military or police. We do not go past there. Or you need to see where there are walls, fences, perhaps even minefields or something. Those are things that you can check with your drones during a bug out scenario for observation. And also, if you make camp for the night, going on bivouac, and you need to have a wider area because you think there are vehicles coming. Perhaps you hear something in the distance, and you let the drone go up, and you scan around the area, and you see where might be another group coming in, and you need to prepare defenses or skedaddle away out of there and into an evacuation before the other persons know that you're there. Yeah, those are the other things that you can do with it. Wait, another thing is for hunting. Instead of physically walking around in a forest area or a landscape to find for food for a game, then that way you can scan. Oh, the animals are there. They're going that way. We can and cut them off over there. Or in another way, you can use a drone. Is if your partner is using the drone over there, he's carrying birds over there. The drone is over there. The birds getting into your direction, and you can take them down with whatever hunting tool that you got. That's also a way to implement the drone in a positive way. So now I've talked about almost only the positive things about, but to be honest, there are several drawbacks to drones. Of course, drones, one of the biggest drawbacks is money, because this one is very, like you can see, very small. It's made entirely almost out of plastic, and it's not even the cheapest one. So that says a lot about the usual cost about drones. And yeah, drones, you can make it as expensive as you want, but the more expensive, the bigger it will be, the more technical maintenance it needs, the more technical skills it needs. And yeah, those are all things you need to take in account too. Another thing about drones is their sizes. uh, the you got drones that are big, but you got also very small drones. That is uh, not the smallest one, but that is one of those drones. If you can see, this could fit into your backpack very easily, but remember, this is made out of plastic, so those parts could, if you do not have a protective case for it, it can easily break parts. And yeah, I'm going to open it to show you how big the drone is. And usually you take some, if you're outside, it's not really that necessarily, but it could be used to protect the rotors. I'm gonna put this one here. As you can see, I've already had a few accidents with it while training with it. And yeah, that is how big the drone is when you are opening it. So yeah, with this drone, the what I find good about it is I do not need internet or satellite connection to operate this. This is in connection, direct connection with your smartphone offline. So I do not need internet for that. So if there is a satellite or the grid is down, I can still use the drone. And that's also a drawback if you have a drone that is dependent on satellite or grid connection to operate. Otherwise, could be a real problem. This thing could go in an area around 70 meters, and then I lose connection with my smartphone with it. And yeah, but the problem is, because it's so lightweight and mostly made out of plastic, it's and also because it's not connected to a satellite, it will not have a stabilizer that it will remain in its certain coordinates by itself. So I always have to use my controller and reorientate so that it will not float away by the wind, because by even a medium wind, it will automatically float away, and that is dangerous. If you do not pay attention for a few seconds, it will get out of range, or it will hit something, or you will you will not you will be disorientated by using the knobs on it. So yeah, those are things that you need to take into account with. The battery is very small. It can only operate between 20 or 30 minutes depending on what you do, and because I always have to manually orientate it that it will stay in its position, it will take more than when it's just standing over there. But I must admit, it did the job. I could scan the area well ahead. I just need some more training, some more training to operate it more easily. Um, the thing is, you can also operate it. Yeah, but I'm filming with my smartphone, so I cannot show it. You can just take your smartphone and steer it with that. But the problem is, yeah, it's very wonky because it's a few buttons, and yeah, it's a touch screen, so it's easily to do something wrong. And that way, and for that, there is this thing. How do you say this? It's controller. I think it's the name. So yeah, it's, what you do is you take a smartphone, you put it. If you can see, you can open it, and you can put any smartphone between it, and use it as a controller, and use the smartphone as a screen, and you can film everything. You can record it, and you can fly the drone around just like with a PlayStation controller. So that's also a very good thing. Um, but it can, like I said, it takes some batteries for, so it's for a short operation time. So you need to have a way to recharge the batteries of these. And what you also can do if you're going on a bug out or on a bug in, have several of these batteries at hand so you can change them. For the duration, they are not that big, they are very small. But if you have a way to charge the battery under while you're on the road, that could be so save some space. And yeah, that way it can also be used to charge other things, that's like flashlights. And yeah, those are things that you can do with it. um, Another thing I want to mention is, because it's a cheap drone, the it's very susceptible to certain weather conditions. Water, like from rain, snow, uh, mist. This could be a little bit problematic because there are openings in for the motor, and yeah, if there get any moisture in it, it can in certain types lead to certain problems, and yeah, you do not want that. Another thing that could be problematic, in my opinion, is it's very fragile. Yeah, especially if you're going to doing something rough like a bug out scenario. It can just be, if the smallest thing you can run against into it, it will break off, and if you don't have any spare parts, it will become useless. And another very important thing that many preppers will not think about actually is, during a war situation, it could be very dangerous if you get caught with a drone. So imagine during the now in the Ukraine war, if you are just a civilian or a prepper and you have a drone, and the enemy soldiers see that you operate one of those things, or they find it during a house searching or something, they will assume that you are the enemy, that you are a spy, that you are working for the enemy, or that you have bad intentions, or you are one of those guys who operate the drones that drop bombs on their brothers. So yeah, imagine how outraged those enemy soldiers will be, and you will probably will be executed, or at least captured for such things. So even if you do not do that, uh, they can still see it like that. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind if you're going to use it during a wartime in a bug out scenario or even a bug in scenario. So be very, very carefully about it. Yeah, I think I'm almost around. So I would say one more thing about the carrying weight. like this drone, this will not be able to carry anything. Perhaps a USB stick that you tape onto it, or something very small. Yeah, that's perhaps possible, but something bigger than a matchbox, I would not be able to tape on this, and it will be getting out of balance. So I would say, oh wait, there's still one more thing I want to talk about, and that is most if you're going to use this drone in a this kind of civilian drones in a certain way, they give a certain light. So there is a green and a red light, and the purpose of those lights is that you can see what the front and the back is while you're steering it from a distance. So yeah, if those things, especially during darker situations, uh, are flashing in the sky, enemies, robbers, thieves, perhaps your government, police will see, oh, I see some green or red flashlight in the sky, and they will know that there is a drone operator around. So I would say tape those lights off if you want to be a little bit more covert. Yeah, I think I'm more ready now with explanation. So I would say, if you have any other purposes or ideas that you can use with civilian drones like these, let me know. I'm always eager to learn. Leave a like in the comments. Leave a like. Leave it all in the comments. Subscribe. All that good stuff. So thank you, and see you in the next video. Cheers.